Talofa lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Koroi Hawkins. Coming up,
they just want to be able to turn around and see that we're there and that we are present.
The Pacific delegation at Waitangi say they stand in solidarity with Māori. Also, former Cook Islands Deputy Prime Minister is found guilty. And later on,
all around the Pacific, our culture is our strength. It's our superpower.
Miss Samoa's Moimoana Shrinky wins the Pacific Islands pageant. Pacific people across Aotearoa, New Zealand are engaging with Māori in new ways and uniting on how to honour Te Tiriti o Waitangi or the Treaty of Waitangi, while considering what a new constitution would look like for the multicultural nation. Waitangi Day, held on February the 6th, is one of the most important days on the calendar for Māori. Thousands of people are gathering on Waitangi Treaty grounds, where the founding document was signed in 1840. Elisha Foon reports.
The annual commemorations carry on the kōrero or talanoa that began at last month's nationwide hui, which also included Pacific leaders. Former Minister of Pacific Peoples Aupito William Seal says Pacific leaders of all ages are standing in solidarity with the country's Indigenous people. Following the change of government, he hopes new cultural conversations acknowledge the connections between Māori and Pacific and carve an inclusive way forward for all.
Hey, we really need to have a conversation, a serious conversation about what it means to be a nation of Aotearoa New Zealand, what the treaty actually means for not just Māori but for all New Zealanders.
Aupito William Seal says as a nation, New Zealand must be aligned with its multicultural identity. The change in government has become a cultural catalyst, sparking fresh dialogue led by Kingitanga, the Māori King movement, around creating a new constitution, with Pasifika alongside Pakeha, key partners in that conversation.
Now is an opportunity for our Pacific leaders and our young leaders that are coming through in both public and private sector to really think hard about how do we build social structures to strengthen these links going forward where Māori and Pacific are supporting one another.
Shortly after the election last year, Pacific Health leader Sir Colin Tukuitonga boldly stepped down from his roles within all government groups after citing no confidence in the new coalition government.
Given the way the new coalition government is approaching te reo and Māori generally, I expect that Pacific people might be more active.
Mr. Seal says about 20% of the population have ancestry connections to Māori. Political commentator Thomas Wayne says there is a cohort of young people identifying with being both Māori and Pasifika.
We are the manuhiri, we are the guests here, we are the visitors here, and Māori are the tangata whenua. But we understand that there is a genealogical, cultural, waka, voyaging, linguistic, genealogical relationship to the people of this land. I think there's a sense that we just need to turn up. And much like with families, sometimes in a family, someone in that family is facing a challenge. They just want to be able to turn around and see that we're there and that we are present and that we stand with them. And I think that's really important. And there are lots of different ways that we can do that.
Mr. Seal says politicians come and go, but it is people that remain. And they ultimately have the power to shape the future of Aotearoa New Zealand.
How do we firm up the Tiriti of Waitangi as a foundation document once and for all? Those are important issues, and whether we should be putting together a constitution where it requires two-thirds majority of Parliament to change it so that you don't have a situation where any politician come along with some wacky ideas and decide we'll get rid of that. I think those are conversations that must be had.
Mr. Seal says the country must be united over honouring the nation's founding document while also embracing New Zealand's diverse and multicultural reality.
Meanwhile, a woman of Samoan and Maori heritage says Waitangi Day always stirs up emotions for her. Valeria Gascoigne says growing up she felt like she had 3 strikes against her, one for being a woman, a second for being Maori, and a third for being Samoan. But now she sees it as her triple threat or superpower. She told Lydia Lewis Waitangi Day is always a time for reflection on the impacts colonisation had on her Samoan mother and Maori father, who was beaten in school for speaking his mother tongue.
This year is going to be really different. Obviously, I believe that is a very significant. Waitangi is always significant, but I think more so this year, particularly with this new government and the uproar around looking at Te Tiriti o Waitangi and rewording some of the document. And so it is really significant and really important, particularly for being Māori, but also being half Samoan. And so there's been, I've seen that there's been more of our Pacific communities, our Pasifika communities, are actually individually making personal stands to stand with Māori around Te Tiriti o Waitangi, which is amazing. And I think it's really important that our Pasifika communities, our people, our Polynesian people, have an understanding.
What words would you use to describe the power of being a wahine, Māori and Samoan?
Well, I used to think I had 3 strikes. Being a woman, being Samoan, and being Māori. It's kind of like, well, already it's like, you get 3 strikes for just being those 3 things. But I think in that there is power in that than what I thought. Because I kept getting this like, well, I'm going to get ridiculed just for being those 3 things. But in actual fact, those are the 3 things that are our superhero powers. So I'm really grateful to my parents, particularly my mum, who taught us so much about life, about being Samoan, and having my dad who just loved being Māori, even though he couldn't speak his reo as confident as he would have liked. But now it's our turn, it's our responsibility now to be able to carry that and pass it on to our next kids, which is why I think our trip going away with Mum for the next 2 weeks, part of our 2 weeks away, apart from being with Mum, is that we've kind of worked out workshops, so our kids are going to be learning their whakapapa on both my dad's side and my mum's side. We'll be discussing things around, what it means to about family, about time, and so I'm looking forward to it. So I think part of it too is, I guess we're having our own little Waitangi as a family going away, because we're going to be specifically talking about our whenua Māori. We're going to be talking about kids going to learn about whakapapa. And so I think that in itself is what Waitangi means. Actually, now that I think about it, that is what Waitangi means for us. It's a celebration of being Māori and being also Samoan, and being proud of both. And that's good, making me a bit emotional now. Yeah.
Why is it making you emotional? What is it stirring up inside for you?
Oh my gosh, it's making me really emotional. I think because I think out of all my siblings, I was really blessed to have my dad's sister. She had no kids, and so having that time with her up north, and really kind of having that appreciation of the struggles that my auntie and my dad had growing up, being Māori. And they're all gone, that whole generation is gone. And so we were really grateful to have my mum still with us. And so I think the struggle, the mess that we all went through growing up in terms of our identity, and fighting for what is important for us here in Aotearoa, is really important. I think, I think maybe I'm getting emotional because my dad's not here, my auntie's not here, all my aunties and uncles have gone, and so, the fight is really left with us, and ensuring that we are able to equip our kids to carry on and to be strong in such trying times. I don't know why I'm getting all emotional. I think it's because, my mum's, mum has stage 4 cancer, and she's 85, but man, she's a powerhouse. She truly is a bionic woman. She's got metal everywhere in her body. She's a chronic asthmatic. She struggles with her diabetes. She's now got, stage 4 cancer. But when you look at her, you wouldn't think she's got anything wrong with her, And in fact, we both had COVID together, and she did better than I did. It's amazing, Her generation is like a whole different type of people. They made them. I don't know. They're just so different. My mum's generation. They are so strong, headstrong, emotionally strong. They're just, mum's just so resilient. And I think from that, it's really taught me to be even more resilient and to carry on the journey.
Valeria Gascoigne is calling on the people of Te Moana Nui a Kiwa to stand in solidarity with tangata whenua this Waitangi Day. The Cook Islands' now former Deputy Prime Minister, Robert Tapaitau, has been removed from Parliament. He was found guilty of 3 charges of using a document to obtain pecuniary advantage and 1 charge of conspiracy to defraud. The former National Environment Service Director, Ngā Puna, and his wife, Diane Charlie Puna, who was the former Secretary of Infrastructure Cook Islands, were convicted on similar charges. Cook Islands News editor Rashneel Kumar speaks to Caleb Fotheringham about the case.
The trio were accused of taking public funds amounting to $70,000 New Zealand between April 2019 and March 2021. And Diane Charlie Puna and Ngā Puna, they were terminated in July 2021. There was an investigation carried out by the Office of the Public Service Commissioner and the police, and they were charged in October. That's when the former Deputy Prime Minister, Robert Tapaitau, was also charged for conspiracy to defraud before the other charges were labelled against him.
Right, so $70,000, that's a lot of money, obviously. How did they go about this?
So those 3, they were allegedly, they claimed things ranging from flights to hotel stays on public purse. So basically, there were some transactions done that I understand they believe that they had within their rights to use those funding. And if they did not have the rights, they believed that they did not do it in the intention to defraud. And since Diane Charlie Puna and Ngā Puna were heads of ministries, they were answerable to the minister, who at the time was Robert Tapaitau. According to the trial and documents, Tapaitau in some instances was aware of that, and he was accused of obviously taking advantage of some of the payments or some of the entitlements that were granted by the 3 of them. Yeah.
Can you think of an example, a specific example of what they did? Like maybe they did take a flight somewhere. Where did they potentially take a flight to, and why wasn't it allowed to be considered just public spending and normal spending that a Deputy Prime Minister does or the other 2 government officials would have done?
I remember the newspaper did an article on Diane Charlie Puna sanctioning stay at a resort when she was the head of ICI. She wasn't entitled to do that. And obviously she got the approval from her minister, Tapaitau. And there were other cases of allowances, paying themselves allowances or buying certain things, meals and stuff. So the heaps of charges that were labelled against them, the 3 of them.
And Robert Paitao, he was reinstated twice as Deputy Prime Minister, once after his initial charges before the trial and then once again after the trial. What was the justification for this happening and what was the public reaction to this?
So the first time he was suspended was in October 2021. That's when he was first charged. And then he was reinstated just before the elections, 2022, August, where he retained his permanent seat. And then again, he was suspended before his trial, which was 2023, before getting reinstated again after the trial. Basically, the government's reasoning was presumption of innocence before proven guilty. That's the reason the government provided when he was initially reinstated. And second time when he was reinstated was because of the workload given the Cook Islands hosted the Pacific Islands Forum leaders meeting, as well as there was a fisheries meeting late last year. So given the more engagement from the public, especially the ministers, the reinstatement was again formalized or carried out to allow Tapaitao to help out in the delegation of the work that was required by the ministers.
It seems like Robert Paitao getting the innocence until proven guilty, I guess, privilege wasn't quite the same for the other two government officials, Diane Charlie Puna and Ngā Puna, who seem to have lost their job. Did the government explain why they lost their job but Robert Paitao didn't?
It's a good question. It's probably something that maybe the government can explain. I think there are different ways, basically, different people answerable to, different positions. Ngā Puna and Diane Charlie Puna, they fall under the Office of the Public Service Commission, and there are obviously certain rules and standards that they abide by. As a minister, I guess he is answerable to the Prime Minister, and he is the one who decides what needs to be done on certain cases. I guess everybody is entitled to their opinion. There are people who say that maybe he was given special treatment. There are others who believe that, he should be given that, presumption of innocence before proven guilty.
Do you think Robert Paitao's conviction will have an ongoing negative impact for the Cook Islands Party, which I understand is the main party that makes up the current government in the Cook Islands?
It's interesting because Robert Paitao was charged in 2021, and the elections was held a year later in 2022. The Cook Islands Party, despite the charge, were still able to win 12 seats, which is half of the 24-member parliament. And then they managed to get 3 more independents to form a government. So by looking at it, I guess it might have not made that sort of impact. But the views are 50-50. There are people supporters who believe that what he did was within the rights or entitlement that he had, while there are others who obviously have celebrated the conviction and said that justice has finally prevailed. So I guess we will have to just wait and see what the results in the upcoming by-elections bring and the 2026 results to know what's the view of the people on the ground regarding this verdict.
Samoa's Moimoana Safatoa Schwenke has won at the Miss Pacific Islands pageant held in Nauru over the weekend. A fan favourite among the 7 contestants, her win is being celebrated across the region. Tiana Haxton tuned in online to the pageant live stream.
Our new Miss Pacific Islands is
Miss Samoa!
It was a dream come true for the 23-year-old who embodied grace, elegance and pride for her culture as she danced across the stage to accept the crown. Moimoana Schwenke's victory marks the first time in the history of the prestigious pageant that a mother and daughter have both won the crown. Her mother, Mary Jane McKibben, carried the title in 1997, almost 30 years ago. Schwenke thanked her parents for their love and support on her own journey to claiming the Miss Pacific Islands crown.
This has been a dream of mine since I was a young girl, so it is an honor to be here standing as a Miss Pacific Islands, and I hope to make you proud.
The previous Miss Pacific Islands, Josie Nicholas, congratulated Schwenke on her victory at a special closing reception yesterday. The Papua New Guinea beauty queen assured her successor that she had the love and support of her pageant sisters.
I'd like to congratulate the newly crowned Miss Pacific Islands. We're all so proud of you, and we believe that you will make great things in your reign, and we will continue to support you as your sisters across the Pacific. Congratulations and well done.
Samoa's Deputy Prime Minister Tuala Te Vanga Iosefo Bonifacio was in Nauru for the competition. He congratulated Moana Schwenke on her victory.
To the Miss Pacific Island 2024, Moana, all the best to you. The sky is the limit. Go for it.
The Honourable Bonifacio turned to the other 6 competitors, acknowledging their passion and courage to represent their countries on stage, saying pageants don't define you. What you do from now on will.
And it is my great wish that you all continue to advocate for the Pacific passionately like you did in the past week. And you were all amazing, and I wish you all the best in the future.
The new Miss Pacific Islands, Moana Schwenke, echoed his sentiments, sharing words of encouragement with her pageant sisters.
That I am so inspired by each and every one of you. Your intelligence, your beauty, your talent, and all I can think of is that the Pacific is in the right hands and that our women are leading the way.
Schwenke is the 8th Miss Samoa to win the Miss Pacific Islands crown, tying with the Cook Islands, who have also secured the title 8 times. She also took out the Best Interview, Talent and Traditional Wear categories and won the People's Choice Award.
That's Pacific Waves for today. To listen back, head over to rinzi.com/programs. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio podcasts. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, Tofa Soifo.